Good evening. You may have just finished watching it. Mormon in America on Rock Center with Brian Williams.
What'd you think? One of the couples featured in the broadcast lives in Lehigh, and our religion specialist, Carol Makita, watched the program with them. Carol, what was their reaction?
Well, I think they were pleased and a bit disappointed that after all of the days that the crew spent following this family, that there wasn't a little bit more in it. But let me introduce you to Julene and Al Jackson and their 5 beautiful children. So overall, Julene, what were your thoughts?
Well, I think that there were some positive aspects of it. I always am concerned when they focus on circumstances or situations that are kind of the exception or the fringe element of the faith. I think 98% of the members of this church are indicative of how our family is, but they seem to focus more on the 2% that are disenfranchised at some level. And so I always go, oh, because they spent 3 days with us, and so we know what they saw and what they could have highlighted, and it seemed like it was a little superficial in some of the clips they did on us and a little bit more in depth in those that were.
Did you feel good about how your family was portrayed, Al?
I wish they had shared more in-depth things, as my wife just said, about what they did with the kind of the 2%ers and the folks that are disenfranchised.
Come on, Ian.
Come here, sweetheart. Yeah. But I wish they had shown more of our kids, because that's really who we are.
I thought Kayla did very well answering tough questions about dating, that sort of thing.
Right, she did great. She did great. The kids, all the kids did really well over the past 3 days they were with us.
And overall, was it a good portrayal of the faith, or were there things that should or should not have been said?
I thought the scene or sight of our garments on TV was offensive to me. I didn't appreciate that very much. I didn't appreciate it at all.
Yeah. And anything that you felt should have been put in, Julene, that wasn't, perhaps?
Well, I just maybe wish they would have highlighted a little bit more of mainstream Mormonism instead of highlighting some of these unusual circumstances or situations or feelings. A small minority of members they always seem to focus on that have issues with the faith, and I think, well, I'm just not sure that that's the best, indicator of a faith.
But I want to add to that. I think most of America, when they've been exposed to people of our religion and our faith, are impressed, and they know who we are. And I think for the most part, we're becoming more and more accepted in mainstream, and a tree is known by its fruit. And members of this faith who live their faith faithfully, their fruit is good, and that's really who we are and what we're about, and we go about letting our light shine. And I wish NBC had shown more of that tonight, but it's NBC, and they're a little different in terms of what they wanted to portray tonight, and I understand completely. But we know who we are, and we put our best foot forward for those 3 days.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, and thanks to all of you for letting us invade the time that you were watching yourselves. I think it's probably undoubtedly been a learning experience for you all, for the entire family.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
So, Dave and Deanie, for the most part, I think the Jacksons were comfortable. There were some things that they thought could have been said or done better.
Really impressed that NBC was willing to dive that deeply into our faith and our religion.
Reaction to last night's Rock Center with Brian Williams. The NBC program Mormon in America attracted a large audience here in Utah, as you might expect. Religion specialist Carol Makita has been talking with people and gathering opinions. She joins us now.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there, that's for sure. She's live on Temple Square. And Carol, even looking at Facebook, Twitter, the social media sites, yes, you get over the course of probably the last 20 hours, I've seen a lot of opinions out there, but you actually physically spoke to people out there. Curious what they had to say.
Well, I did, and reactions run the gamut, Mike and Deanie, from it was well done to why did they do that? But most people I spoke with centered on the old adage that if they're talking about you, that's good. It was obvious that the network spent a lot of time and put a lot of resources into the program Mormon in America.
I thought it hit some good issues. It had some negatives and positives. I liked how they talked about the welfare system, the missionaries.
This is crazy.
Our viewers liked Harry Smith's stories, Bishop Storehouse and Welfare Square, and his visit with JetBlue founder David Neeleman. From Facebook, Kim Woodbury writes, overall, I thought Rock Center with Brian Williams was very fair and balanced. While I wish they had treated some aspects of my faith more respectfully, I appreciate their effort to help people better understand who we are and what we believe. Joelle Pearson-Peterson says Mormon women do hold leadership positions. I've been a lifelong member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and have never felt like I am unequal to my husband, nor have I been treated as such.
I was a little shocked at the people who have decided not to be LDS and kind of how much they focused on their beliefs of the church versus those who have embraced it and lived with it.
Most were referring to Abby Huntsman as a main interview.
I felt like they asked the Huntsman daughter a lot of questions that I would like to have seen actual members of the church ask those same questions.
Missy Verville agrees. Why ask Abby Huntsman, who left the church at a young age, what the temple is all about? And women not being allowed any leadership positions? That reporter has never seen a Relief Society presidency, Young Women's presidency, or primary presidency in action. The most negative, showing temple garments.
I really was offended by the picture of the garments. Yeah, no question about that. Yeah, that was like, whoa.
Now, I spoke this afternoon with a senior producer of Mormon in America, and we'll have her reaction to all of this coming up on KSL 5 News at 6.
All right, definitely themes there that we've heard before, Carol, so thanks for the insights.
Well,
Last night's Rock Center with Brian Williams remains today's most talked about story.
Yeah, on the streets as well as social media as well. As you can imagine, our viewing audience was huge, and we want to know if you thought NBC did a good job presenting the Mormon story. Religion specialist Carol Makita now with your reactions.
Let me share with you what one of our viewers wrote. Doug Brockbank said, "Thanks, NBC, for being interested in the LDS Church to tell our story, even if it was from your perspective. Overall, it was helpful to viewers, I believe, even if it wasn't perfect. Of course, neither are we." Many others expressed positive comments about Rock Center with Brian Williams, from the tour of the Bishop's Storehouse to the visit with the Jackson family from Lehigh.
I was really impressed that NBC was willing to dive that deeply into our faith and our religion.
Matt Carter wrote, "I thought it was really well done. I'm proud to be LDS." The program's senior producer said there were more.
We got a lot of calls, emails, tweets about people saying, oh, I had no idea, I didn't know any of this, I didn't know that, I didn't know this. I think people were fascinated.
Some of our viewers wondered why Abby Huntsman was a main interview. Catherine Kim said the staff reached out to several prominent Latter-day Saint families.
She was one of the number of voices that we talked to, and our intention was to sort of get a variety of voices in there and a variety of perspectives and experiences.
Val Leahy Isaacs writes, "Abby told the truth and you don't like the truth. Not all Mormons are bad, but not all Mormons are good either."
I really was offended by the picture of the garments. Yeah, no question about that. Yeah, that was like, whoa.
Catherine Kim says they chose to do that because they're a pop culture curiosity.
I think the showing of the garments was merely just to show the garments. It was for no other reason, and we certainly did not mean any disrespect.
And one more, Brad Brocious. "I think the real tragedy of the hour special was that they didn't mention Jimmer Fredette at all." Most people say they're pleased that NBC produced the program to allow a few more viewers to know what Latter-day Saints believe and how they live. It's a good thing. Carol Makita, KSL 5 News, Salt Lake City.